Welcome to Steve's Cottage with Steve Horner. Steve Horner, a former radio talk show host, helps spotlight the source of today's social chaos while offering practical solutions to the problems negatively affecting you and your family. And now, here's Steve.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. By golly, it's great to be with you. Thanks a lot for joining me. And if the cottage is rocking, don't bother knocking. Just come on in because you're the kind of company we want here at Steve's Cottage. I'm your host, Steve Horner, and I'm happy to be here. And before we get on to the show, which I think you're going to like, which is called The Ring of Fire, and I'm wearing that black shirt to represent the man in black for a purpose, because Johnny Cash might be showing up here a little bit later. I just want to say how happy and how thrilled and how magnanimously excited we are about Donald Trump, not even in office for a month yet. And he's got that Doge just raising hell with those women and those liberals. And he's got the DEI people just scrambling all over town to see, where do I go? What do I do now? How am I going to pay my rent? Well, the whole government has been absolutely bloated, and Trump hasn't even been in office for a month. And he's just got his pruning shears out, and he's just trimming and doing a fantastic job. Well, I have been doing this show now here, Steve's Cottage, for several years, and it's from Utah Tech University in lovely St. George, Utah, where I've been semi-retired for the last 15 years. And this is episode 67, and folks, I think possibly number 70 could be my last program. Oh, shut up. I might do 80 now just to spite you. But you see, as the audience has been growing, and I think I've got about 1,500 per program on all the different podcast platforms, the book sales have been a little disappointing, and that's why I got into the podcast business from my radio career to sell some books. And these are self-written books, and maybe, Sean, we can go up there. Sure, there they are. And the one that always draws the biggest attention is the one called Cunt, and its sequel, Consequences. And don't get all shook up there, Elvis, because CUNT is an acronym standing for Can't Understand Normal Thinking. And those are the types of people that Trump is releasing, throwing back out into the streets where they belong through his Elon Musk-run Doge and the DEI policies. But these books at stevehornerbooks.com, folks, I mean, they're all really timeless. They're prophetic. And you might not want to hear that, but they are. They are as true today as when they were first written. And they're only $5.95, and they are so right on in their projection of the inevitable results of social problems. And that's why I want you to read those, because they will help you keep those family-devouring dragons out of your life and out of the lives of your family. So that's especially why I want you to read them. And the episodes on this program, they will not go away. They will remain for at least a year, maybe two, depends on how much I want to keep paying into it. But they will remain on your favorite podcast as Steve's Cottage, you see. And each of these programs, like the book, they're timeless. None of these podcasts are outdated, and they sell you on the value of these three basic principles, which we're going to talk about here later in this program, and in any of these books, I'm not selling you anything except logic and patriotism. And now, before we go any further, we are going to do a little cleanup time. Oh, yeah. Get a little John Lennon music out here. We're going to talk a little bit about 66. The episode 66. I want to clarify a few points with you. Yeah, baby, it's cleanup time. In episode 66, I was bragging on my novel, The Unusual Frank White Man, from SteveHornerBooks.com. It's a great book. That's my only novel. It's about 700 pages. And it's entertaining and it's socially relevant in today's world as it was when I wrote it. And it speaks of the social chaos that we experience today. And it is seriously prophetic in predicting social problems and the source of the problems. Also, solutions to those problems. And the book was inspired by true events. And what I didn't tell you in episode 66 and in this cleanup time segment of this show, I'm going to tell you that the preface in that novel, which is called The Unusual Frank White Man, which is a title that people like. The preface reads, "If this story fails to call you to action, you're fast asleep, in which case, I hope you're somehow able to protect yourself and your family from the inevitable consequences of doing nothing." What does that spell out? It spells out what I've been preaching on this program for 67 episodes. Apathy. That is the number one problem in today's society. We are all good at pointing out the effects of the problems, like, oh, the schools are busted, and, oh, gosh, look at the high crime and the busted families, and the high prices and the gender and race conflicts, and the international conflicts. But you need to get mirrors in your home so that you can see who and where the problem lies. You got to let your opinions be known. It might jeopardize some of your at-home and at-work convenience, but that's what being a patriot is all about, and the long-term benefits absolutely outweigh the negatives. So get a mirror. And when you do, you will see that you are the problem. Your unwillingness to get involved, and that's what you won't hear on the mega podcasts and on the mega radio shows like Hannity, or those two lightweights that took over after Rush Limbaugh passed. I call these guys Ben and Jerry. Their whole pitch is, we're looking out for you. So in other words, the sappy audience can live vicariously through Ben and Jerry. But that's not the nature of this show, is it? I want you off your couch to get involved and make your opinions known. Be a patriot. I'm not looking out for you. And if you do nothing while that big social dog of trouble and gnarly looks circles your neighborhood, you see, that's the time to get off your couch and get to busy and take down that big dog. That's going to have nothing but problems for you and your family. Well, then I sure as hell don't give a damn when inevitably that dog jumps the fence, shits on your lawn, and mutilates, mauls, and chews off the earlobes of your child playing in the playpen. I don't care. Because you need to get off the couch and you need to make a difference in the lives of you, yourself, and your family, and society. And that was my problem when I had that big radio job at KTAR in Phoenix. Had a nice job there. KTAR is the voice of the Suns, big 50,000-watt AM station owned by Bonneville. And I just finally said, I'm done. I'd get these calls.
Hello, Steve. Say, I really like your show. Say, I've got this problem with this neighbor.
Shut up, Bob. Shut up, Judy. Shut up, Earl. I'm not your babysitter. Donald Trump is not your babysitter. Get up off the couch, look in the mirror, see who the problem is, and then go out and get on the phone and start doing your lobbying and start fixing your own problems. And more importantly, be preemptive. Preemptive. Stop that dog from circling your neighborhood. And now we're going to get that man in black out here to talk a little bit about the dangers of apathy. Okay? So the man in black comes out from behind the black curtains. Walks over towards center stage, kind of smiles and grins at the audience. He steps up to the microphone and he says, "Hello, I'm not Johnny Cash." Apathy is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went on high. And it burns, 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 that ring of fire, that ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went on higher. And it burns, 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 that ring of fire, that ring of fire. The taste of apathy is sweet when minds are not complete. I fell for you like a child. Oh, but the fire went wild. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went on higher. And it burns, 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 that ring of fire, that ring of fire. I fell into the burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went on higher. And it burns, 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 that ring of fire, that ring of fire.
Burns, burns, burns.
That ring of fire, that ring of fire, that ring of fire. Wow. Wow. Johnny Cash. Excuse me, I had that tickle in my throat. But I couldn't stop midstream, and so I had to keep cruising, and my goodness. Wow. How do the big performers on the big stages get through that? Wowie. Well, anyhow, I got through it, and that was fun. And what I'm talking about, and Johnny Cash, wasn't that a great old song from the 50s, and his use of the mariachi band? Yeah, great tune. And and I've got this 1980s black shirt out of my closet, and it's an old retro shirt, and the brand name is called Bugle Boy, And whenever I might take a date and go up into the hills or go down to someplace and sit out here, out there by the lakeside having lunch or supper, the waitress will invariably talk to me about my clothes. And you can see every one of my outfits on every one of my past podcasts are adorned with retro. And the retro clothes is very, very, very popular. I ran into a 45-year-old hip-looking kid at Smith's while doing my grocery, and he liked my shirt here the other day. And he says he and his buddies are going to Santa Monica, California to shop some of the retro shops. So it's become very popular. Here in St. George, you can just go to Deseret Industries, and it's like a Salvation Army, and get some real nice retro clothes for just a really great price. But Johnny's singing about the harm of apathy. Now, have I fallen into that ring of fire of apathy before? Absolutely, positively. I certainly have. Just a human falling for temptation and convenience, and it's not complaining to the right people about the problem at hand. It's by keeping your complaints quiet and to yourself, which does nobody any good. And by compromising your principles for the sake of comfort and convenience, that's just like a Las Vegas whore. She compromises her principles for the sake of money. So you got to speak up and be a patriot. And that's why I'll be cleaning up shop here at Steve's Cottage, because even though life is comprised of billions of different situations like what you see on a sitcom, there's only 3 basic elements here at Steve's Cottage. And that's what I want you to get involved with to successfully carve your niche through life in America. You see, there's just 3. And you're going to say, well, that's kind of absurd. But listen, there's only 10 commandments. You follow the 10 commandments, you go to heaven. My 3 principles will help you navigate the secular life here on a busy, on busy planet Earth. And, the 10 Commandments talks about spirituality, morality, and happiness. And my 3 principles talk to you about logic and patriotism to help you successfully claw yourself through society and its turmoil. And you need to follow these 3 rules, and I've made these 3 rules very clear. And that's why, and so I've made them clear on all of these 66, 67 episodes now. And so, I don't know, maybe it might not be beneficial to keep hammering it, because I've made my 3 principles very, very, very clear. My job is done here, and that's why I'm going to shut the gate on Steve's Cottage soon. Oh, come on. That's just absolutely cruel. You know what? I seriously, I'm thinking about doing 80 now just to spite you. But, my job basically is done here. And I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make him drink. And if the unfortunate dumb animal does not want to drink, then I just take my saddle and bedroll off and hoof it. And the horse dies. And I couldn't care less. So if you refuse to follow these highway signs, then, folks, you're going to get lost, no matter how many shows I do. So these principles have been laid out on Steve's Cottage on your favorite podcast platforms. Now, you know about apathy, right? So what are the other 2 principles I've been talking about? Apathy, not getting involved. And that's being irresponsible. Excuse me. So how about following the wrong highway signs, such as the ones laid out by the Jew-run Associated Press? Now, I know I harp on the Jew-run press, but that's who runs the news these days, the popular network news. Jewish organizations, Jews and Jew organizations. And it's not a race hit, it's a behavioral, political hit. Jews are liberal. Just ask Karl Marx, the head Jew who founded the Communist Manifesto. That's what the Jews don't want you to know, that they're affiliated with Karl Marx, who was kicked out of many countries because of his liberalism, not because of his looks or his race, his liberalism. And so that's why Donald Trump is not even allowing Associated Press members on his plane or at White House meetings. I've written to him before when he was at Mar-a-Lago before terms. I said, sir, you know you're going to find this racist, but it's not. The Jews are the problem in skewing the wrong message to the people for, I don't know, self-serving, stupid reasons. For instance, the Middle East. So they want to preserve the Middle East. They want the United States to keep funding it. But then look at the news source such as Al Jazeera, based in Qatar, Muslim run. There's no Jews running it. The story's going to be completely different. It's like listening to somebody talk about a baseball game, you know? He's out at second. No, he wasn't. No, here. Let's rewind that flashback. Let's rewind the story. You can see that he clearly was out. So stories can only be skewed. The truth can only be skewed so many times before you know that somebody is lying. And so that's why when you read some of the what the hell is the name? The Al Jazeera news about the Middle East, you'll see a different perspective. And you'll see that either right and wrong can only be skewed so many different ways. And you'll see that the Associated Press and the Jew-run media skews it a completely different way than Al Jazeera. Now, why is that? One side is lying. The other side is not giving you the perspective that you want and need to find out and manifest and orchestrate your life in a direction that leads toward the truth. So then the other principle that I talk about on this show is then the women who have ascended to great heights of public policy making and to direct your family, direct the public education, direct some corporations. And their policies often make no sense because the women are wired with sentimentalism versus a man's pragmatism. A man's pragmatism speaks of cause and effect. If you do this, you're bound to get this as a result. Women often don't have that wiring. They will say, oh, the poor thing needs favors. Oh, don't spank that child or I'm gone. You better open up that border because you don't understand how it is to be a Mexican down there and with all those gangs and all those drugs and your sentimentalism. It makes no sense. And so it's all about who you are listening to in the news, where you're getting your so-called facts from, how they're being skewed by women, and whether or not you're going to get up off the couch. So that's been the basis of the Steve's Cottage program. And so no matter how many times I come out and preach different episodes to you, because there's a billion different episodes in life every day, right? Episodes going down the street. Well, I went down the street and then I saw a red light and then I saw this. Okay, fine. Well, then I went to the reservoir and I thought I'd do a little swimming and I saw somebody cut his foot. Another episode. Episode after episode after episode. That's what life is. That's what the sitcoms are on TV. But the principles I'm talking about here is apathy, who you get your news from, and watch out for the women who are in public policy making because many times their policies don't make sense. And if you don't believe me, just go to the Bible. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 9 to 12. I'm not the first one to talk about it, folks. Well, I am so happy to have had your company here today. And remember, when you are climbing those mountains, look, and you're trying to get to the pinnacle, and you're trying to make some great accomplishments in life, you see, some challenges. Get off that main road and get off into the bushes a little bit and make your way to the top. It's going to be less cluttered. It's going to be a little more challenging, but when you nail it, you're going to feel a lot better for about yourself. The memories are going to be better, and when you get to the top, the view's going to be so much more splendid. So thanks for joining me, and you take real good care of yourself.
Thanks for joining us. Visit Steve's Cottage again with Steve Horner.